America has seen many sunrises and sunsets throughout its long history, and through those 240 years, many people have established themselves as permanent figures in American history. While many have been good examples of true Americans, some have epitomized exactly what America was created to fight against. Today, I will be discussing one figure from each category. My candidate for the Hall of Fame is a tough and burly Texan by the name of Anthony Joseph Foyt Jr., and my candidate for the Hall of Shame is none other than the infamous Benedict Arnold, the man who betrayed America in its infancy. Hopefully, by the end of this video, you will see why Supertext deserves to be remembered forever, and why Benedict deserves to be figuratively poured down the drain of American history. A.J. Foyt entered into the world of racing at a young age. His father, Tony, had raced amateurly in Texas, and for that reason, A.J. was driving cars by the time he was 3. By the time he had reached his prime, A.J. had established himself as one of the best racers in the world. A.J. became the first to win 4 Indy 500s with his win in 1977, and owned the car that won a 5th race in 1999. At a time where many races were ruined by simple mechanical gremlins and the threat of death was much more real and intense than nowadays, this was a hero's feat. Additionally, A.J. was known to drive anything and everything. While he mainly stuck to the USAC championship cars, he also crossed over to NASCAR and won the Daytona 500, and won the 24 Hours of Le Mans sports car race with only one co-driver, the great Dan Gurney. It's very hard to excel in multiple forms of racing, and this is proven by the relative unsuccessfulness that drivers such as Dario Franchitti and Danica Patrick had in their switches to NASCAR. Also, due to his versatility, but mostly because of his volatile temper and tendency to assist his crew members in fixing problems, A.J. became one of the most liked drivers in history, arguably with more fans than today's most popular drivers combined. Another aspect of his incredible career that makes him a standout figure in history is the fact that he drove and won in 3 different eras of racing. His career began in the 50s, where front-engine roadsters growled around at 150 miles an hour, transitioned to the mid-60s to rear-engine cars that saw an increase in speed, and finally he excelled in the ground effects era, where cars became more and more like airplanes and speeds pushed 200 miles an hour. Lastly, but certainly not least, A.J. was tough as nails. He survived gnarly racing accidents that saw him severely burned and mangled his legs. Additionally, A.J. survived many other mishaps in his life, such as a killer bee attack that saw him stung over 1,000 times in his head alone, and he survived his bulldozer falling into a river, as well as the water moccasins that were present in that river. In short, A.J. survived things that many people wouldn't have. In response to a question I posed, Robin Miller, a racing reporter since 1968, gave me an answer that really sums up why A.J. deserves to be remembered forever as an American hero. Supertext is the all-time IndyCar leader with 67 victories and 7 national championships. He also won the Daytona 500 and 24 Hours of Le Mans, and won his 4th Indy 500 in a car he owned, built, and drove. He was as good on dirt tracks as he was on pavement, and vastly underrated as a road racer. He raced with no cages, no fuel cells, and no safety. He began his Indy 500 career in a roadster at 143 miles an hour, and finished it in a rear-engine rocket at 223 miles an hour. He was immensely popular, and today still has more fans than all the IndyCar drivers combined. If there has ever been a racer who belongs in history's Hall of Fame, it's Anthony Joseph Foyt Jr. While A.J. Foyt may be a great epitomization of an American hero, Benedict Arnold represents exactly what all Americans should try not to be. First and foremost, Benedict Arnold betrayed his country in the Revolutionary War. After some minor conflicts with his fellow military officials, Arnold became disillusioned with the colonist's goal of independence from England. Therefore, he came up with a plan that is the reason for why he deserves to be forever shamed. He planned to surrender West Point to the English for compensation. The fact that one desired to betray one's country is bad enough, but the fact he was willing to surrender the freedoms of the men under him is a dastardly deed. In addition, he also betrayed his English contact, John Andre, by using Andre's capture and subsequent execution as a diversion from his escape from West Point to the HMS Vulture, yet again showing his selfish and non-loyal side. Moreover, in addition to his betrayals, Arnold knowingly married the daughter of a loyalist, and to say that didn't have an effect on his views would be controversial at best. Finally, later on in his life in England, Arnold gained himself a reputation as a war hawk through his constant pleas for England to return to war with America, and similarly to many other war-crazed people in history, this led to a big loss in popularity and credibility for Arnold, as few identified with the desires Arnold had. Clearly, Benedict Arnold deserves to be enshrined forever in the U.S. History Hall of Shame.
Some legends are told but you